Here is an image of the Mona Lisa. You now know, if you didn't already, what that work of art looks like, but does seeing it here compare to seeing the real thing? Louisa Ruby, head of photo archive research at the Frick Collection in New York City, says no. Seeing a work of art on a computer screen or on a page in a book that wasn't designed to be viewed that way can never really stack up to seeing the real object. Ruby says that in person you can appreciate angles and lighting and colour and details and the scale of the thing in a way that you just can't do if you see it on a page or a computer monitor. The experience just isn't the same. But I don't really know about that. I can grant that the experience is not the same. If you actually go to the Louvre on a lovely French day, then there are sights and smells and feelings that you won't get just looking at the Mona Lisa here. But what I'm not sure about is whether all those extra experiences are really necessary for understanding the work. Having seen the Mona Lisa here, do you now need to see it in person in order to fully appreciate it? A lot of Ruby's objections are technological, that the technology isn't good enough to capture the details or the colours or the lighting correctly. But leaving aside the fact that technology will improve, and we could even someday have virtual reality galleries, that still means that there's nothing intrinsically worse about viewing the Mona Lisa on a computer monitor. It means that if the technology improved, that would be fine. Contrast Ruby's approach with that of Walter Benjamin. In his essay Art in the Age of Mechanical Reproduction, Benjamin argues that a copy of a work of art always lacks a certain something, namely the aura. He's a little bit vague on what exactly the aura is, but it's something like the status and authority of being the original work, an object with a particular history and specialness. The ceiling of the Sistine Chapel, for instance, is a unique work. You can view an image of it, but there's only one that was actually created by Michelangelo. Unlike, say, an iPhone. iPhones are created objects, but there's no original, authentic iPhone, of which all others are merely reproductions. There was a first iPhone that came off the factory assembly line first, but it's not the master's authentic version. iPhones just aren't that sort of thing. They're designed to be copied, and there is no original. But even assuming we can make sense of what Benjamin means by the aura, do you need to experience that in order to fully appreciate the work? What is it about the aura of the Mona Lisa that means you have to experience that in order to fully understand the art? The question of whether or not you can have art online means a lot to me as a man who tries to make art online. I run a channel called Shakespeare Vlogs, where I vlog in character as famous roles from Shakespeare, delivering some of the most famous speeches in the English language. And if it turns out that you can't actually have art online, and that in translating Shakespeare from page to YouTube video I'm actually losing something, well, then I'm kind of wasting my time. But maybe we shouldn't even be distinguishing between online and offline experiences of art at all. The tendency to distinguish between the digital world and the real world is called digital dualism, and the man who coined that term, Nathan Jurgensen, thinks it's a fallacy. He thinks that the digital world and the physical world affect each other so much and are so bound up together that they're not really conceptually separable, even though one is made of atoms and the other one is made of bits. He says that they're really only one thing, which he calls augmented reality. A lot of people think that online media is more interactive than offline media. If you watch one of my Shakespeare vlogs, for instance, you can pause and rewind and watch it again, leave a comment, like and share. You've got a lot more options than if you were just watching me perform the monologues on stage. But Manovich points out that old media isn't really any less interactive than new media. Consider architecture, for instance, where you have to walk around it in order to fully appreciate the work. Or ellipses in novels, where you have to pause, or conceptual art, which requires you to engage with it on a whole different level. All forms of old media that are nevertheless very interactive. The difference between new media and old lies less in the content of what's experienced and more in the context of the experience. The artist Adam Butcher describes a time when he took a bunch of students to the Louvre to see the Mona Lisa, and everybody wanted a selfie with the painting. He says that's neither good nor bad, it's just different, that the act of appreciating the artwork has become bound up with the act of being seen to appreciate it and of sharing that experience. The students he took with him were experiencing the Mona Lisa in a different context, but the painting itself was still the same painting that somebody looking at it 100 years ago would have seen. So maybe you could experience more by going to a gallery, and if there's such a thing as an aura, maybe you could experience that too. But do you have to experience those things in order to fully appreciate the work of art? I'm really not sure about that. What do you think? Can you fully appreciate a work of art online that wasn't designed to be viewed that way? Or is something lost when a work is taken from one context into another? Subscribe to get more philosophy videos from me, and you can visit patreon.com/philosophytube if you'd like to support me in my quest to give away free education on YouTube.